I thought we're going in my car. Oh, you want me to drive your car?
No.
I could drive my rental car because I'm very used to it. Okay. All right. We're going to take your car, you said. We're not taking my rental car. We're taking your car. And you still know how to drive.
Yeah, I can walk too.
Well, unlike me, you did not get your driver's license when you were 16. I think you
No,
were.
I did not.
I think you were over 20.
Of course, I was living in New York City. Well, the island actually. Here.
Which island? Which island?
Manhattan
Oh.
and Long Island. I was living on
Well,
the
to this
island.
day, I don't think people drive in New York.
That's why I didn't get my driver's license until I was
You would have to be a
22.
multimillionaire to afford the parking, number one.
Well, first of all, you'd have to have had your head examined.
Yeah. People use Uber, they use Lyft, they take the bus, they take the subway. First time I ever used Uber, and even though I don't think you use Uber, you certainly know what it is.
Yes, of course.
First time I ever used Uber, because we didn't have it in Cleveland yet. My sister Angela and I had taken an Amtrak train to New York.
Seatbelt.
It's on, and I see yours is on. We took an Amtrak train to New York. We stayed in Times Square at the Millennium Times Hotel on Broadway. I'm sure you know Times Square is shaped like a bow tie. And I told my sister, I heard about this thing called Uber. I gave him my credit card, and we're sitting in the lobby, and it says your driver's name is Mohammed or something. He's like 6 minutes away. So I tapped on my iPhone and it said, you're calling Mohammed. My sister says, why are you bothering him? I'm like, I'm not bothering him. They gave me the option to call him. I'm calling him. Hi, Mohammed. You must be our Uber driver. He goes, are you at the Millennium Times Hotel? I said, yes, I am. He said, I just left there. He goes, I'm going around the block. He goes, tell you what I'm going to do. Instead of going all the way around the block, I'm just going to illegally back up to the hotel. And I said, well, should I step outside? We're in the lobby. He goes, yeah, step outside. He goes, just ask anybody who's Mohammed. They all know me. So I asked the doorman, do you know Mohammed? He's like, I don't know Mohammed. But I saw a car with its flashers on, backing up. That must be Mohammed. So that was my first experience with the Uber. So. It says bitch barn.
That's where they keep their female dogs.
It's where they keep the what kind of dog? Female dogs?
Yeah.
I thought it was just a joke, bitch barn. So it's for real.
Yep.
What do they breed dogs there?
Apparently.
I must say there's some classical music I don't care for, but this sounds like a beautiful song. This one I can appreciate. It has a nice festive, I like it. I can play Bach's two-part Invention on the piano and the guitar, or I can play part of it. It's like a round robin. You kind of need two people to play it on guitar. And
Well, the only musical instrument I ever really mastered was the player piano. Oh, you get the joke.
I do get the joke. If I had $1 for every time I played a piano that maybe I wasn't supposed to, including at the Wynn Casino, Bellagio, and more recently in Tampa at a place called Burns Steakhouse in their dessert room. The whole upstairs is what they call the dessert room. It's quite unique. It's rated within the top 10 steakhouses in the United States of America, and some say world renowned. So I started playing the piano in the dessert room. It was a Steinway, that's $200,000 piano.
Not a Busendorfer?
I've heard of that. Yes, I don't know too much about it. I've definitely heard of it though.
It's quite a rich machine.
It's quite a what kind of machine?
A very rich machine.
Rich.
Yeah.
Well, I do not think that highly of my talents as a piano. I don't claim to be an expert. I'm definitely not a concert pianist, and I don't know much about classical piano. I could play rock, I could play jazz, I could play blues, I know a little bit of classical. But here I was in Tampa 3 weeks ago, and I'm playing this piano that I'm not supposed to be playing. And when they come in, excuse me, sir, and at the real fancy places, they're very polite. Excuse me, sir, the piano is actually only for our piano player. We can't have. And then when there's multiple patrons, customers eating, oh, you're not asking him to stop, are you? We were hoping he would keep playing for at least an hour and a half. So I consider that a compliment. That happened at Bellagio also.
Where's?
I will bring both of them. I got one box and one envelope.
That's correct.
With Marilyn Monroe. That's a very nice
And you'll
stamp.
notice that it is not a forever stamp.
And even though you told me, I was on the phone with both you and Larry when Larry said, I've always said all stamps should be forever stamps, and you seconded the motion. You said you've always felt the same way. They should all be forever stamps.
Well, in today's world, it's practical, but me, I buy and sell stuff.
Oh yes, you make money with that. You get half the money, and then you say.
People have sheets of numbered stamps.
Well, I bought stamps from you, and you saved me money, but you made a couple bucks too, so it's a win-win.
I buy stamps at 50% off and sell it for 25% off.
That's a nice arrangement. I like it. If you could do the same with my groceries and everything else I have to buy, I'd be even more happy. Do you have any more of these Marilyn Monroe stamps? Because I would buy those from you.
I've got some Marilyn Monroe stamps.
She's a very beautiful blonde woman. There's allegedly she had some shenanigans with what was his name, John F. Kennedy. Don't tell John F. Kennedy's wife. She probably knew. She wasn't stupid.
I should have done where you buy on Black Friday and get free shipping, but then they're
I
never
remember
around,
her
you know?
from last time I was here. The woman behind the counter.
Just not good.
This guy here,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
this guy,
Oh,
Charles had arranged it with him.
My daughter
he's going to mail you $1,000.
He
check.
invited us out to a very elaborate Chinese restaurant in downtown Vegas.
Called Wing Thai or something.
Yeah.
Did you guys have the Peking duck or?
I just had chicken fried rice,
Oh,
which, by the way, I managed to consume successfully with chopsticks.
wow, that's something I don't know if I could do. I've tried chopsticks and I did not. You know, I kind of prefer
I
a
became
fork.
a master of it years ago. There was a situation where an international field service engineer for
Atari
Atari,
for Bushnell.
yeah, and I was entertaining foreign guests, potential distributors of
Here in the
Atari
States?
equipment. Yeah.
Oh.
They arrived.
And you would take them to a
and
Chinese.
It was my responsibility to entertain. Well, he had his car, and he begins. This was.
That internal fire.
I think this was in England. Yes, it was in England. And we were driving through the streets of London, and the streets were getting narrower and darker. And we were just going through these very weird streets. He turns on the street, and there's a storefront with a all painted solid green with a great big yin yang on it.
I'm moving to Hawaii.
We go inside there, and you could see the layers of smoke in the air. So,
From everybody smoking?
Citizens coming through Hawaii right now.
well, I presume so. At any rate, they sit us down at a table. There is no knives, forks, spoons, whatever.
Only
Only
chopsticks.
chopsticks. And of course, being a past master at the game, I was able to get through the meal without embarrassing myself or poking myself in the eye. So it
Years ago, before all the
it's the
hoo-ha's
sort
been
of
happening,
talents
he
you
had a
pick up in
holster
order to do your
holding his
job.
rifle in front of American
There's a
flags
local
and
comedian. I mean, there's a comedian from the States, Jerry Seinfeld. Seinfeld, sitcom show. He's like, oh, I got to hand it to the Chinese. You got the shovel, you got pitchforks, but he goes, they're not using forks. They're hanging in there with those chopsticks.
When I first got to California, this was in '57, I got a job as a draftsman, and that was at Atari.
Just for the grandsons
And
say, "Now you gotta wrap
a
everything," 'cause that's what the
junior
rest of them go,
engineer,
"Well, dude,"
actually.
she goes, "Mom, you wouldn't
Anyway,
believe it. He's sending all this stuff, and then
the
give me
games
the
had
work,
these
I'll
illustrated
wrap it."
painting on
And I'm
the
working,
sides of
these
the
ones are
game, the kind
Enclosure,
of artwork, kind of artwork they do.
Yeah.
Anyway, these guys were absolute masters at graphics, and there were two guys doing this. One was a guy by the name of Pete Takeichi, he was Japanese, and Reagan Cheng, who was Chinese. Made a great team. At any rate, we go out to lunch to a Chinese restaurant.
You tell me what you didn't get off
So
that
I
list.
am sitting there with my chopsticks
Or
doing my
I'll just
thing,
get
and
you,
Reagan,
Amazon gift card or
the
gift card
Chinese,
somewhere where you guys wanna
is
go.
going at his lunch with a knife and fork. I said, well, how come you're not using chopsticks? He says, because I'm hungry.
And scarves and
Ties. I don't need any more ties.
yeah.
But I like socks. I go through socks
Well,
quick.
yeah,
They don't make them
I'll
like
have
they
to tell
used
some of these stories to my good friend Enzo.
cutesy things.
Been my best friend since seventh grade. He often would take me out to Chinese restaurants, and he likes real spicy things. Some of these Chinese, they got certain.
Szechuan.
Well, there's that, but other little some black liquid that is so spicy. When they brought him a little tiny thimbleful, he said, "No, I need a big cup." And the Chinese woman, the waitress, she was like, "Oh my gosh!" And he said, "Trust me," he goes, "if it's not hot enough, I'll pour it in my eyes. I'll use it like Visine." But and then he and I had another little saying between the two of us. I don't know if you remember the Pet Rock, which was a big.
Yes, of course I remember.
The owner of the Pet Rock, he had his buddies. They helped him doing all the artwork, setting up the display. It was just a trial, and it was a huge success right off the bat. They went to a Mercedes dealership, dressed in just jeans and T-shirts. So the more experienced salesmen, they're like, okay, these guys don't have any money. The new guy, the young guy, oh, hey, what can I help you with? They picked out a couple of cars, and the inventor of the Pet Rock, when the young guy said, okay, how will we be financing this today? He looks at his buddy, he says, well, you got lunch, I'll get the cars. And he just wrote a check for the total cost of both Mercedes. So when I go to Chinese restaurants with my buddy Enzo, he almost always pays. He'll say, Joe, I'll get this. He goes, you buy the cars. So I'm going to owe him a Mercedes Benz pretty soon for all these Chinese lunches that we've been eating all these decades.
I think this will be okay.
All right, she's off and running. Done deal. All right. And then this guy.
There's nothing but paper in there.
All righty, my dear. And 18940. All right, the quick little statements there that you would not knowingly send anything dangerous through the mail stream. And then, is there anything?
Well,
I can vouch for him.
There's some off-color books in there. But
There you go. All right, so we're looking at 1890.
Maria, I remember you from the last time I was here, and I think
Yes.
that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I used to sub for Kathy when she was gone. It's been a while. But now she's retired and I got to take over. So, all righty.
whatever happened? I haven't seen her back in a very long time.
Yeah, she retired.
retired.
yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that for my sake.
Yeah.
I'm glad for her sake, though.
Yeah, exactly. 105. I'll get you your receipt.
I'll try not to spend it all.
You do
on-
realize that Ron is 90 years old. I think when he gets to be 100, he might,
might-
cut back on his work. He
There
might,
you go.
I don't know if you call that
He
partial.
Might, he might finally take a little step
Partial
back and-
retirement,
oh,
like-
yeah.
Semi-retirement, is that what they call it?
Semi-retirement.
When he gets to be 100, I'm thinking
Well-
105 maybe.
You missed the key point that you tell everybody.
What's that?
What's that? What do you usually tell people about me?
Oh, that he is the co-founder of Apple Computer Company.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know if you knew that.
No, I think you mentioned it the last time you
Well,
were
he
here.
doesn't usually brag about things. I'm more or less I'm the big talker.
You're the one. You're the one that.
Might
that
promote you.
that-
Get
that
your
fluffs
quarter
his
later on.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know that
Fluffs the
we were
feathers.
at the Walmart in town
Uh-huh.
the day before Christmas, buying some little accessories so that I could install a car radio in his old car that actually had an Apple feature called Apple CarPlay. You've seen this where
Oh,
it's
yeah.
And the young guy that was helping us, I said, he doesn't want to brag, but he's actually the co-founder of Apple. Some people are, okay, I don't give a shit about that. Other people were so impressed at the one Chinese restaurant. Others, they were getting Sharpie pens asking him to sign the back of their
wow,
iPhone.
nice.
And then going and getting everybody from the kitchen to come to our table.
One question. Delivery is anticipated for what? That priority box.
Oh, it was on the receipt, my dear. I think I had it for Wednesday or Thursday. It's right on your receipt, right above that
no, I
tracking
just
number.
needed an approximation.
Yeah,
that's all.
Wednesday to Thursday.
That's fast enough.
Yeah, for priority, it's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Can't complain
Thank
about
you.
that.
There you go.
Have a lovely day.
Likewise,
Thank you.
my dear.
Now stretch it out for a whole year.
Stretch it out for a whole year. Okay.
So these vehicles out here, I figured it was going to take a ton of time.
I heard you say there's so many vehicles out here. You what?
I thought it was going to take a ton of time.
Oh, we got here pretty quick. It seems like there's not that many cars on the road compared to the traffic I was dealing with there in Las Vegas. There's a big rodeo. I think next month the Consumer Electronics Show is going to, as far as I've always heard, I've only been to it once, even though I've wanted to go every year. I think that is by far the biggest convention Las Vegas ever has. CES, Consumer Electronics Show. Oh, I'm quite familiar. He's been talking to me about it. I have a video I would like to play for you sometime today, tonight, tomorrow. It was at the Consumer Electronics Show. I'm sure you've seen these little fitness bands that some people got that measures your blood, measures your heart rate, and well, I think it was called Fitbit, if I remember.
In case you wonder whether or not you're still alive, at least it lets you know.
Something like that, yeah. Well, there was two competing fitness bands that both, rented a spot right next door to each other. I felt bad for the one because the other one, I think it was called Fitbit. They had so many beautiful male and female, mostly female dancers doing what I thought was the most intriguing, interesting, fascinating dance routine. I don't even know if dance routine would be the right word for it. It's like you'd almost have to see it. Like they wake up on the bed, they jump out of the bed, then they're flipping these cups up in the air, then they're jogging. There was actually a treadmill that was recessed into the exact where the carpet was. I've never seen anything like it. And there was a large crowd of people. They did it about every 20 minutes or every 30 minutes. Their competitor right next door, it seemed like, was getting no attention because everybody was focusing on them. And it's about a 10-minute little, I'm calling it a dance routine because I don't know what else to call it, but I don't think dance routine would really be the correct name. It's quite unique, quite interesting to watch. Maybe I could play it for you and Charles at the same time. And that was at the Consumer Electronics Show. So, don't speed, because I think this might be right about where I got that speeding thing.
45 miles an hour through here.
And you are currently going almost 40, so you should be okay.
You know me, I haven't gotten a ticket in 30 years. That was a weird experience, too.
Why was that? What was that like? You mean here in Pahrump?
No, it was
Florida?
Southern California.
Oh. How fast were you going?
It wasn't speed. It was an interesting thing. Divided highway, right?
Yeah.
And I see this police car coming the other way on the other side of the divider.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, I look back in my rearview mirror, and he's coming across the divide. Comes in behind me. Flashing red light. What the hell did I do? And he pulls me over. He says, "You're not wearing a seatbelt. Here's a ticket."
Oh, jeez.
That was the last ticket I ever got.
And you've been wearing your seatbelt ever
I've
since.
been wearing my seatbelt ever since.
Well, when I started driving a car at 16, it was not a law. It was not required at that time in the state of Ohio to wear your seatbelt. However, 2 years after I reached the age of 16, in fact, 2 days after my 18th birthday, was my very first flying lesson. And it was required, as it still is, by the Federal Aviation Administration to wear your seatbelts or shoulder harnesses if the plane is equipped with that, more modern plane, for both takeoffs and landings. And that is a requirement for not just the passengers, but the pilots as well.
Right.
So I would be driving my car, but looking up, wishing I was in the plane, and all my friends, none of them were wearing their seatbelts, but I was, because I was like pretending I was flying the plane, even though I was driving the car.
Well, I'll tell you what I had when my instructor had a P-51 Mustang, which he had to modify. He spent a fortune modifying the plane, otherwise the CAA wouldn't license it.
Civil
Aeronautics.
which then became the FAA. Yeah.
Right. At any rate, he had to change the chord to span ratio on the wings in order to make it legal.
I remember you telling me and my friend Steve Serino this probably just 3 or 4 days ago. Because I think you told me you only got to fly that plane once.
Yes.
Oh.
And it was a ball. And of course, there was no wheel.
What do you mean, no wheel?
It was a joystick
Oh.
with a very intriguing little red button on top.
Which did what?
Machine gun.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And it wasn't loaded. No, he had to strip everything off that plane to change the wing loading.
I guess these were available after World War II.
Well, he bought it off of a surplus place in San Diego I forgot what island that was off the coast of San Diego.
San Diego.
Well, I got you back in one piece.
I think you did good. You're a good driver.
This way to the egress.
The egress. What does that word mean? Egress, exit?
I'll tell you the story. You heard of, my memory's going to hell, P.T. Barnum.
Wasn't he the Barnum and Bailey's circus? Or?
Well, he got into that later on, yes. But he opened the Great American Museum in New York City. It was the first time anybody had done a show like this.
The greatest show on earth.
Well, no, it was a big, huge room with little insets. There were all sorts of exhibits, the bearded lady, that sort of stuff. It had never been done before. This was the first time that it had ever happened. And people were lined up around the block with their dimes to get into the Great American Museum. And he was making money hand over fist and all of a sudden realized the place is jammed full of people and there are still people around the block. How are we going to get rid of these people who are in here? And he goes to his partner, who happened to have been a professor. He says, give me a word for exit, a fancy word for exit. He says, egress. Oh, okay. So he gets his sign painter to come out real quick and did a sign, this way to the egress.
So
Okay.
you mean some people are curious? Hey, what's the egress?
Yeah,
Let's go
what's the
check it out.
And they went through to this door and opened the door, and of course, when it closed, it locked. And they were on the outside.
I did not know
This
that.
way
That's
to the egress.
interesting. And this is a true story. You're not making this up.
No. P.T. Barnum, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah. Well, if he's Barnum, who was Bailey? His partner?
That was the circus.
Oh,
That
Barnum
was
and
later on
Bailey.
in his life. He had a Great American Museum merged with the circus.
I'm going to grab that really good razor so I can look respectable. Even Maria there at the post office. You heard her say, "I remember you from last time 5 years ago." But I'm surprised she didn't say, "You look like you forgot to shave or something." So I think I will look better and feel better once I go in the bathroom and shave.
Anyway, this guy we went to dinner with.
Mike Fingerman.
Yeah, Mike
And his
Fingerman.
son, Michael.
You're right. Thank you very much for that, by the way.
He's a big guy.
Yes, he is.
Weightlifter, boxer.
At any rate, what am I doing?
Maybe you don't need the key. Oh, I see you have the electronic.
Charles Stiggler.
Seems like something he would do. Very useful. Always trying to do a good job. I have one very similar. It's not the same brand because this brand is Quickset. Mine is, I forget what mine is, but it's not Quickset. Okay. So with your permission, I'm going to go shave.